I've spent my life searching for lost media. Sure, some people might say it's a weird hobby, skewering forums and old archive websites for any footage of an old TV show, a movie that only aired once, a strange commercial that people claim to remember from their childhood. The truth is, I usually don't find anything. A lot of the roads you get led down reveal nothing, but to me, the journey is always the most rewarding part. I like to imagine I'll find something, maybe a video game that only has one copy. That is to say, I never found anything. Until now. It started with a Reddit post. The thread was titled, "The KLMN TV Incident." I'd never heard of KLMN TV. This isn't surprising. It either never existed or it was one of those local TV stations that used to be everywhere. The kinds that did low-budget programming or ripped off higher-budgeted shows from major networks. Usually during the daytime there would be some kid's puppet show, and at night, some form of a talk show. The poster told a story that he remembered his father telling him. When he was a kid, he used to watch KLMN TV for the Johny Sands dance contest. Johny Sands was a local celebrity who hosted a weekly dance contest where the contestants competed for cash prizes. He said that once while he was watching the show, something crazy happened that he never forgot. A tall, lanky teenager and a dog were dancing with a giant piece of candy taffy. I thought this piece of information was strange in itself, but it was the late 60s, I guess. Then he remembers the lights went out in the studio, and when they came back on, there was a monster, covered in what looked like candle wax, hovering over the two dancers. He had a strange glow coming from his wax skin. The broadcast soon ended, and the poster's father went to tell his parents what he had seen. They told him he just imagined it, or it was a trick done by people at the station. It was probably some gimmick. You can't believe what you see on TV. The Reddit post ended with the person asking if anyone could look into KLMN TV and find any information out about this broadcast. Well, you came to the right guy. I did the classic Google search looking for anything on KLMN or Johny Sands, and there was nothing. So he obviously made this up. Or his father made it up. Okay, well, let's try something else. If I can't find KLMN or the Wax Man, maybe I can change the search criteria. Who was the guy dancing with the dog and the taffy? This time, something came up. And it felt connected. I found quite a bit of information about a group of amateur detectives known as Mystery Inc. In that group, a guy who matched the description of the taffy dancer, and more importantly, his pet dog, Scooby-Doo. They were known for being in places where strange things would happen and for solving them, usually by uncovering someone under a mask. I dug through every case I could find, trying to see if anything matched the story from the original post. When I found an article from 1970 on the case of the Wax Phantom, what was in that article? They mentioned the events of this happening on the Johny Sands show, broadcast on KLMN. It's real. It's actually real. I can't believe it. I don't believe it. Are you kidding? A group of teenagers with a dog solved mysteries in the 60s? This article has to be fake. Photoshopped. But why would it bring up things from the original Reddit post? Maybe these teenagers were scammers who went around and sent this stuff up to fool people. That's what it was, of course. People fell for that stuff back then. Curious, I DM'd the original creator of the Reddit thread, telling him what I had found and if he could give me any more information to help narrow down my search. What area did your father see this program in? What time of the day did he watch it? I didn't hear back. So I went further looking into Mystery Inc. Now, I did find a group online called the Scrappy Squad. I don't know what Scrappy means. This group was dedicated to collecting any information on the case files of Mystery Inc. So I sent them an email asking if they had anything on the Wax Phantom. What I got back was both shocking and oddly comforting. They sent me a still photograph showing the wax phantom. I asked them if they had anything else, and they replied, "Sorry, this case file is the one we have the least information about. This photo was sent to us from an unknown source." Now I'm really starting to think everyone's playing a big joke on me. But at least I have something. I investigated for anything I could use, and I of course checked my DMs on Reddit, and still nothing. There has to be something in this photo that can help me. Something the Scrappy Squad missed. The photo was a bit out of focus, but I did see something sort of blurry in the background. Is that a woman? Wait a minute. It's a wax figure. Is this at a wax museum? Of course! I looked up every wax museum I could find. There's a lot. However, the original Reddit poster did get back to me. They told me what state their father had lived in, and even the city. That changed everything. I was able to find a now closed wax museum in that very city. I won't reveal the location to keep the privacy of the persons involved. I did, however, send this to the Scrappy Squad, who thanked me and said they would use it to see what they could find out. I was making progress. The wax museum closed sometime in the early 90s, but using Google Street View, I did find an area around it and an abandoned building. This building looked like an old TV station. Was this KLMN? I sent a message back to the original poster asking them if they still lived in that area and can go down to that building and check it out for me. Fortunately, they did live near it, only an hour's drive. They sent me back photos and said they looked through the windows trying to see if they could find anything useful. There was nothing to find. They did, however, say there was a phone number on the back of the building. I called the number. It was the building's owner. I asked him if he knew what happened to KLMN. He said that sometime in either the 70s or 80s the station had a fire, that almost all the equipment and tapes were lost to time. He bought the building years later, hoping maybe to fix it up and turn it into an apartment complex. I asked him if he knew anything about Johny Sands, and he said he was aware of a local collector who had footage of this show. I contacted this person and asked whether they had any footage of the so-called Wax Phantom incident. He said he hadn't looked through all the tapes, as he had gotten them secondhand from someone who had worked at the station. They'd stored them at their house before the fire. He wasn't even sure if they all worked. I asked him if he could send me copies of the tapes or even upload them online. He asked for money. I told the original poster about this, and they went to visit this man. They told him their story about their father, and he agreed to let them make copies of the tapes. He then uploaded them to his computer and sent them to me. We both started going through them. I can't explain the rush, but this is what I live for. Even if most of the footage was hardly visible or cut in and out, the audio was disturbingly broken. These strange sounds and images open my imagination. How many things like this exist that nobody has ever seen? I'd hardly slept over the last 3 days. I began to wonder if I was imagining things. I started to see shapes and faces in the static images. How many faces do you have? Stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. I had to collect myself. It's obvious what happened. The Wax Phantom was never on the Johny Sands show. It was clearly a wax figure at the museum. The boy's father had probably gone there as a kid, and it scared him. He mixed that memory up with watching the show. Mystery probably made up the whole thing. They probably just saw the Wax Phantom at the Wax Museum and came up with this story for notoriety. That's where this whole legend began. It was all just a mix-up. It might even be two separate stories that somehow got mixed together over time. I've solved it. Good job. I went to sleep. I woke up the next day and checked my DMs. The original poster of the story had sent me a link to a video. It was all there. The man and the dog dancing in taffy, and then wax. The Scrappy Squad had also emailed me back with the final piece of the puzzle. There was a wax phantom, and his name was Roger Stevens. The TV station manager set the whole thing up while embezzling money on the side and planning to escape to South America. He faked his own disappearance and was going to frame someone else for the crime. The Scrappy Squad told me they have now added all of this information to their case files, which they have named the Scooby-Doo files. I think I found a new purpose. All this time I've been looking through lost media, and this time I actually found something useful that now people can look to for information on this thing that a boy's father remembered, or anybody that's an enthusiast for solving mysteries. Well, that's over. What's next?